Hey everyone, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to Shattered and Broken. Hope you dig the story. Let's dive in. I used to haunt this subreddit, practically lived here. And yeah, I was that guy in the comments, always playing defense for women whenever someone posted about getting cheated on. You know the type. Not all women are like that. You just gotta find the right one, all that garbage. And I swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Why wouldn't I? 6 years married to Sarah, and she'd been an open book the whole time. At least, that's what I thought. Never caught her in a lie, never a whiff of anything shady. She was the one telling me about guys hidden on her at the coffee shop, coworkers getting too familiar. Showed me the texts, rolled her eyes, called it gross. Hell, she even cut off her best guy friend when I mentioned it. Bugged me how tight they were getting. That's the kind of woman I thought I had. Honest, loyal, relationship first. God, typing this out now makes me feel like such a chump. Everyone who's been through this probably has the same story. The perfect marriage fairy tale. Well, here's the cold, hard truth I learned. You can't trust anyone. Not family, not friends, and definitely not the person snoring next to you every night. I'm 33, Sarah's 31, and up until last week, I genuinely believed we had one of the good ones. You know how it goes. Every couple has their spats, their rough patches, but compared to my buddy's train wreck marriages, we were rock solid. Never went to bed simmering. Always carved out time for date nights, even when cash was tight. Boosted each other's dreams, ambitions. Sarah was even helping me cram for these certifications to climb the ladder at work. Meanwhile, I was her biggest fan with her writing. That's what twists the knife in, makes this whole thing so much sicker. Our living situation. Pretty standard New York these days. Renting in Brooklyn because mortgages are insane. Places in this brownstone that got chopped up into apartments. Landlord lives in one of them. Older dude, pushing 60 maybe. 2 other units got regular tenants. Young families like us, just trying to make it. Landlord, Mr. Henderson, been decent enough since we moved in 4 years back. Fixed stuff when it broke, kept the building in shape, the usual. We'd bicker sometimes over dumb stuff, parking spots, noise complaints, petty stuff. But nothing major. Kept it professional. Maybe tossed him some cookies Sarah baked during the holidays. That was about it. Actually liked that about it. Everyone kept to themselves. No forced neighborly crap, just normal city living. Turns out, I should have been paying way closer attention to what was happening when I wasn't around. Here's the deal with our schedules. Sarah works from home, copywriting. Basically, she's there 24/7. Company only drags her into Manhattan once or twice a month for team meetings, client pitches. Me? I'm busting my hump 6 days a week at my job. Not because I'm thrilled about it, trust me, I'd rather be home with my wife. But that's construction management. Overseeing multiple sites, you can't just clock out at 5 and forget about it. Out the door by 7 a.m., usually not back till 7 or 8 p.m. Even Sundays. Sometimes get dragged in if there's an emergency on a site. Sarah always played the understanding wife. Said she was proud of how hard I hustled for us. Dinner waiting when I got home late. Hot baths drawn when my back was screaming from being on my feet all day. Felt guilty sometimes, leaving her alone so much. I remember the exact day the bomb dropped. Woke up feeling like death warmed over. Stuffy nose, head pounding. Usually I power through sick days, Bills don't pay themselves, and I've worked through worse. But that morning, something just broke. Maybe it was my gut whispering a warning. I don't know. Texted my boss, told him I needed a personal day. He was cool about it. I'd actually banked like 3 weeks of unused days, never took time off. Thought I'd pull a surprise on Sarah. Fake leaving for work, then sneak back, surprise her, order in some pizza, binge-watch Netflix. We hadn't had a whole day together in ages, even swung by that bougie coffee place she loves on the way back. Got her usual iced caramel macchiato with extra whipped cream. The works. Actually felt like a kid planning a surprise for their parents. Goofy grin plastered on my face in the drive-thru, picturing how happy she'd be to have me home. Maybe finally get that lazy day she's been hinting at. Wish to God I'd just gone to work. Sometimes, ignorance really is bliss. Pulled into our usual spot, juggling that ridiculous coffee I bought her. Everything looked normal at first glance. Her car was there, neighbors' kids were screaming in the yard, just a regular Tuesday morning in Brooklyn. But when I got to our door, something felt off. Door was cracked open, just a sliver. Now, Sarah is obsessed with home security. Triple checks the locks every night, cameras on every window. Made me install a video doorbell last year because she was paranoid about package thieves. Door ajar like that. Red flag number 1. But I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was lugging in groceries, grabbing the mail. Maybe she stepped out to chat with Mrs. Rodriguez next door for a sec. No reason to freak, right? Safe neighborhood, she's a grown woman. Still, something in my gut screamed this wasn't right. Door is never open when she's home alone. What I saw when I walked in, man, I can't even write this without the rage bubbling up all over again. Right there, smack in our living room, on the couch where we watch movies every weekend, where we had Christmas dinner with her parents last year. My wife was bent over, wearing nothing but one of my old band t-shirts, and behind her, Mr. Henderson, our 50-something landlord, the same guy who just fixed our leaky faucet last week. His pants were around his ankles, and he was... I just froze. The coffee slipped out of my hand, crashed to the floor, splattering all over our entryway rug. The sound of the ceramic mug shattering is what made them jump. I managed to choke out, "What the hell is going on here?" Like some kind of idiot. As if I needed an explanation. Like there was any universe where my wife bent over our couch being pounded by a dude old enough to be her father could be anything other than exactly what it was. I knew. My brain just couldn't process it. 6 years of marriage. All those late nights at work, busting my ass to give us a better life. All those times she whispered, "I love you," promised me forever. All of it. Nothing. And I had to stand there, watch it all implode in real time. The second they heard my voice, all hell broke loose. Sarah let out this shriek, high-pitched, like she was the victim. Scrambled to cover herself with my t-shirt. My t-shirt. Henderson, this supposedly respectable older guy who'd sat at our dinner table, talked about property taxes with me, was desperately yanking up his pants, shuffling towards the door. Face bright red, but not from shame. Probably just terrified of his reputation in the building if this got out. My fists clenched so tight, knuckles white. Every muscle in my body screaming at me to deck him. I'm not a violent guy. Never been in a real fight in my life. But in that moment, I wanted nothing more than to throw the hardest punch I could muster. Make him hurt the way he'd just ripped my heart out. Been hitting the gym 5 days a week for years now. I could have done some serious damage. But then, something in the back of my head flickered. News stories. One-punch deaths, especially with older guys. Headlines about manslaughter charges, lives ruined over a split second of rage. I'm not catching a case over these 2 pieces of trash. No way. No matter how much they deserve it. Henderson practically sprinted past me, shoulder-checking the wall in his rush to escape. Coward couldn't even meet my eyes. I let him go. What's that saying? Revenge is a dish best served cold. Mental note to deal with him later. Plenty of time for that. Maybe a little chat with his wife. Or a friendly heads-up to the other tenants about the kind of man their landlord really is. That left me alone with Sarah, if I could even call her by her name anymore. The woman standing in front of me wasn't the same person I married 6 years ago. That Sarah would never do this to me. That Sarah loved me, respected me, cherished our marriage. This stranger in front of me was just a cheater, caught red-handed. Never wanted to hit a woman in my life. Dad drilled that into me since I was a kid. A man who hits a woman is no man at all. Standing there, watching her try to play the scared, innocent wife, I had to repeat my father's words like a mantra. Had to keep my hands balled into fists, nails digging into my palms until I tasted blood. Because if I let go, if I let that rage take over for even a second, I knew I'd do something I could never take back. Been in fights before, been angry before, but this was different. Pure, uncontrollable fury, mixed with a pain so deep it felt like my bones were shattering. The kind of rage that makes good men do terrible things. And that's exactly why I couldn't let it control me. There she was, clutching my t-shirt to her body like she suddenly discovered modesty. Same woman who'd just been bent over our couch moaning under another man, now trying to act all shy and vulnerable. The sheer audacity of it made my blood boil hotter. She was playing the victim, trying to make me feel like the bad guy for walking into my own home and catching her cheating. That's what twisted the knife the deepest. Not just the cheating, but this pathetic act she was putting on now. So, this is what happens when I'm not home, huh? Barely recognized my own voice. Came out low, cold. Nothing like how I usually talk to her. She started this stuttering, stammering explanation, tripping over her words like a kid caught with their hand in the cookie jar. It's not, it was just what, Sarah? Just a mistake? Just a one-time thing? Just destroying our entire marriage for a cheap thrill with a guy old enough to be your father? She couldn't even string together a coherent lie. Just stood there trembling like a leaf. Won't lie, seeing her scared, scrambling for excuses, gave me this twisted satisfaction. After what she just did to me, watching her squirm felt like the tiniest sliver of justice. Never been aggressive with Sarah before. Never even raised my voice in 6 years of marriage. I walked towards her. She actually flinched, took a step back, like she was afraid of me. Me, the same guy who held her hair back when she was sick, who drove 3 hours to get her favorite cake for her birthday, who worked overtime for months to buy her that laptop she wanted for her writing. I grabbed the collar of my own t-shirt she was wearing, yanked her closer. She was looking everywhere but at me, at the floor, at the walls, at the door where her lover had just bolted like a coward. That made it even worse. She couldn't even give me the basic respect of looking me in the eye after what she'd done, after shattering everything we'd built together. She couldn't even face me. I yanked the collar harder, trying to force her to look up. Each time I tried to catch her gaze, she'd turn away, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I shoved her away from me, maybe harder than I meant to, but at that point, I just needed her gone, away from me. She stumbled, fell to the ground, still clutching that stupid t-shirt, sprawled there on our living room floor. Now it was just another place she'd tainted with her betrayal. I stood there, watching her cry. And for the first time since we met, I felt absolutely nothing for her. No love, no sympathy, not even pity. Just disgust and rage. I turned, walked straight for the door. As I was leaving, I heard her cry out, "Mike!" in this weak, pathetic voice. The same voice she used when she wanted me to stay home from work, or when she was trying to convince me to take her on vacation. That voice used to melt my heart. Now it just made me want to vomit. The fact that she had the nerve to call me Mike after what I just saw. I slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. Needed to put as much distance between us as humanly possible before I completely lost what little control I had left. Got in my car, just started driving. No destination, no plan. Just driving, to keep moving. Must have circled our neighborhood 50 times. Every time I passed our brownstone, I had to grip the steering wheel tighter, stop myself from turning in from I don't even know what. The sick part is I knew exactly where to find both of them. Henderson was probably holed up in his unit downstairs, Sarah, where I left her. But I'm not that guy, so I kept driving, trying to drown out the thoughts in my head with random radio stations. None of it helped. Ended up parking at a Walmart around 2 p.m. Just sat there in my car, staring at nothing. Watching people go about their normal lives like the world hadn't just ended. Families shopping together, couples holding hands, elderly people helping each other with groceries. All these normal people living their normal lives, while my entire world was burning down. Sat there for hours, phone blowing up with texts from Sarah which I couldn't bring myself to read. Sun went down, parking lot emptied out, and still I sat there. Couldn't go home. It wasn't home anymore. Just a crime scene where my marriage had been murdered. Watched the security guard do his rounds, probably wondering why some dude was parked in his car for hours in a Walmart parking lot. Must have looked suspicious as hell. But I couldn't bring myself to care. Finally drove to a cheap motel around 10 p.m., half hoping she wouldn't be there. But no. There she was, sprawled on our couch. The same damn couch where I'd caught her with him just hours ago. She'd changed into her favorite pajamas, the ones I bought her last Christmas. Face all puffy, red, like she'd been crying for hours. Makeup smeared everywhere, tissues scattered all around her. The whole scene looked like something ripped from one of those cheesy romantic dramas she loved so much. Just another performance by Sarah, the woman who apparently deserved an Oscar for fooling me for 6 years. Her crying didn't move me. Not one bit. Why should it? She wasn't crying because she felt bad about betraying me. Wasn't crying because she regretted throwing away 6 years of marriage. No, she was crying because she got caught. Because her comfortable little double life, playing happy wife while banging the landlord when I was at work, was finally over. Those weren't tears of regret. They were tears of inconvenience. "Please, Mike, baby, I want to talk to you. Please, just sit down," she practically whispered, voice all raspy from crying. The baby part really got to me. "Did you see him again after I left?" I asked, point blank. Her face crumpled. She started sobbing even harder. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. The whole thing was just so absurd. Here she was, trying to act all sorry and devastated, when for all I knew she'd spent the afternoon consoling herself in Henderson's bed. "Please, just sit down with me. I'm begging you." She kept pleading, like she deserved even one more minute of my time. But you know what's really messed up? I sat down. Not on the couch, never sitting on that thing again, but in the armchair across from her. Maybe I wanted to hear what kind of excuses she could possibly dream up. She just sat there staring at me. Finally, she started with the typical cheetah script. "I'm so sorry." That's as far as she got. Caught. It was this stupid mistake that she'd probably been making for months. "I was just feeling lonely while you were working so hard to support us." Then came the kicker. She actually tried to blame it on being horny and Henderson making suggestive comments. Like she had no control over her actions. Like she just accidentally fell onto his... Next thing she knew, she trailed off into more tears. Next thing she knew, what? She just happened to take her clothes off? Just happened to bend over our couch? Just happened to let a man old enough to be her father have his way with her in our living room? The Sarah I married would never do this. The Sarah I loved would never betray me like this. This woman. This was just someone wearing my wife's face, living in my house, spending my money, and apparently screwing our landlord for who knows how long. And now she was putting on the performance of her life, trying to cry her way out of consequences. Through her tears, Sarah swore up and down that this was the first and only time anything had happened between them. She even put her hand on her heart, a gesture she used to do when making serious promises to me. Said she'd never do it again. Crazy part, she actually sounded convincing. 6 years of marriage and I'd never caught her in a lie before today, so maybe she was telling the truth about it being a one-time thing. But you know what? It doesn't matter, not even a little bit. Here's the thing about cheating that all cheaters conveniently forget. It's not just one bad decision. It's hundreds of tiny decisions, one after another, each one a conscious choice to betray your partner. She chose to flirt back when Henderson made those suggestive comments. She chose to let him into our apartment while I was at work. Every single step of the way, she could have stopped it, could have said no, could have thought about her husband of 6 years, who was working his ass off to give her a good life. But she didn't. She chose her own cheap thrill over our marriage. The more I sat there listening to her sob and beg, the more I realized something. Even if I wanted to forgive her, even if I was stupid enough to try, I'd never be able to look at her the same way again. The trust was gone, shattered like a mirror, and no amount of super glue could put it back together without showing the cracks. And then there was Henderson. He lived right downstairs. I'd have to see his face every day, knowing what he did with my wife. I'd have to resist the urge to cave his skull in every time I passed him in the hallway. "Sarah, stop." I cut her off. "Just stop." We're done. She tried to argue, tried to tell me we could fix this, that we could go to counseling, that she'd do anything to make it right. But there was nothing to fix. You can't unscrew someone. It was over the moment she let him touch her. I wanted to throw her out right then and there. Let her go live with her new man, see how she likes being with someone old enough to be her dad. But I knew I couldn't stay in that building, not with him there. After that conversation, I just couldn't stand to be in the same room with her anymore. I went to our bedroom, grabbed my suitcase from the closet, started throwing clothes in. Didn't even bother folding them. Just grabbed whatever I could see, stuffing 6 years of my life into 2 bags like some kind of refugee fleeing a war zone, which, in a way, I guess I was. Sarah followed me around the room the whole time, crying, begging me to stay. She offered to leave instead, said she'd go stay with her sister, said she'd do anything to fix this. The irony of her offers just made me laugh. Wouldn't dream of separating you from your man, I told her. You two seem so happy together. Maybe he'll let you move in with him. You already know where he lives. Saw the look on her face when I said that, like I'd slapped her. Good. Let her feel a fraction of the pain I was feeling. She collapsed onto our bed, started sobbing again. I just walked out, didn't even look back. Been in this cheap motel for 2 days now. The kind of place that rents by the week, where the sheets smell like industrial bleach, and you can hear every conversation through the paper-thin walls. Called in sick to work. First time I've ever done that without actually being sick. Boss probably thinks I have COVID or something. Don't care. I can barely function right now, writing this from the motel room at 3 a.m. because I need to tell someone what happened. Keep thinking about revenge. I know it's petty. I know it won't fix anything. But I need something. Some way to make her feel even a sliver of what I'm feeling right now. Time might heal all wounds, but right now, revenge is the only painkiller I can think of. Update 1. It's been a week since my last post, and I did something I need to get off my chest. Wish I could be one of those cold-hearted people who can hurt others without a second thought. But I've got this annoying thing called a conscience that keeps nagging at me. Still, what I did to her. I think it's pretty fair payback for what she did to me. Let me tell you about Sarah's dream. Not the fake dream of our happy marriage, her real dream. The one she's had since before I even met her. Sarah wants to be a writer. Not just the copywriting gig she does for work, churning out product descriptions and marketing emails. No, she wants to be a real author, like her idol, Colleen Hoover. Romance novels, drama, all that emotional stuff that sells millions of copies. That's all she's ever talked about. At parties, she'd corner anyone who'd listen, ramble about her book ideas. She had this whole plan mapped out. Finish her novel, land an agent, become a bestseller, quit her day job. Used to love watching her eyes light up when she talked about it. 3 years ago, she finally started writing her book. Remember the day perfectly. She came home from Barnes & Noble with this expensive notebook she'd splurged on, just for outlining her story. So excited, like a kid on Christmas morning, and stupid me, I supported her completely. Bought her a new MacBook just for writing. Set up a whole office space in our spare room. Brought her coffee and snacks while she worked. Read every chapter as she finished them, giving her feedback, encouragement. "You're going to be the next big thing," I'd tell her. "This is amazing, babe. Keep going." And you know what? The book was actually good. Really good. Complex story about family secrets and forbidden love. Oh, the irony. Kept you guessing till the end. She wrote every day for 3 years. Poured her heart and soul into it. Manuscript was over 90,000 words. Like 360 pages. She just needed to write the climax, the ending. Maybe another 2 or 3 chapters. She was this close to finishing her dream project. Probably would have been done in another month or 2. Remember sitting in bed with her just 2 weeks ago, listening to her talk about how she was going to handle the big reveal at the end. She had it all planned out, every twist, every emotional beat. So proud of what she'd created. And I was proud of her too. I actually couldn't wait to read the finished product. After a few days in that depressing motel room, I texted Sarah, told her I wanted to come home, talk things over. Second, she got my message. She started blowing up my phone with replies. "Yes, Mike. Please come home. I miss you so much. We can fix this." All that stuff. I knew exactly what I was going to do, but I had to play it cool. Had to make her think she had a shot at fixing things. When I walked through the door, her face lit up. She'd cleaned the whole apartment. Probably the first thing she'd done since Henderson wasn't busy bending her over our furniture. She'd even made my favorite dinner, lasagna from scratch. Same recipe her mom taught her when we first got married. The manipulation was almost impressive. For the next few hours, I just sat there, listened to her sob story. How sorry she was. How she'd never speak to Henderson again. How she loved me more than anything and couldn't live without me. How she'd do anything to fix what she'd broken. I just nodded along, spouting things like, "I need time," and "I'll think about it." Classic lines that give hope without promising anything. Learned from the best, right? Right when bedtime rolled around, she tried to get me to come to our bedroom. Started with the puppy dog eyes, then moved on to touching my arm, my chest. The same move she probably used on Henderson. I shut that down real quick. Told her I needed space, that I'd sleep on the couch. She looked disappointed, but tried to hide it. "Whatever you need, baby," she said, like she was some kind of understanding wife. She left her laptop on the coffee table, exactly where I knew she would. Sarah always works on her novel late at night, and she always leaves her computer there so she can grab it first thing in the morning. Some habits never change, even after you destroy your marriage. I waited till I heard her bedroom door close, then waited another hour just to be sure she was asleep. Laptop password was the same as always. Our anniversary date. Found her manuscript folder easily enough. She had it saved in 3 places: desktop, external hard drive, and her cloud storage. Always back up your work, right? That's what I told her when I set up her cloud storage account. Another way I tried to support her dreams. Sat there for a full minute, cursor hovering over the delete button. 3 years of work, 90,000 words, hundreds of hours of writing, planning, dreaming. Everything she'd worked for since we got married. My finger was shaking on the mouse pad, Small voice in my head screaming at me to stop, telling me this was too far, that I'd regret it. Then I remembered what I saw on that couch. The hesitation vanished. I deleted everything. The desktop copy, the backup on the external hard drive, the cloud version. Then I emptied the trash. Then I used a file shredder program to make sure nothing could be recovered. 3 years of work, gone in less than 5 minutes. Just to be thorough, I went into her email, deleted every copy she'd ever sent to herself for her beta readers, found a few chapters she'd shared with her writing group, deleted those too. By the time I was done, there wasn't a single word of her manuscript left anywhere. Her dream, her future bestseller. All of it was as dead as our marriage. I've done some things I'm not proud of in my life, but watching someone's dreams disappear right in front of them, that hits different. Don't get me wrong. Every time I start feeling guilty, I just remember that couch, and suddenly I feel a lot better about what I did. Still, having a conscience is a real pain in the ass sometimes. The day after I deleted everything, Sarah was acting like nothing had happened. Made breakfast, worked on her copywriting assignments. She didn't touch her laptop for creative writing that day, which was unusual for her. She always wrote at least a few hundred words of her novel, even on busy days. But I figured she was too focused on trying to fix our marriage to work on her book. The second day, same thing. All normal on the surface, like we were just a regular couple going through a rough patch. She did her regular work, answered client emails, edited some marketing copy. Still didn't open her manuscript folder. I kept waiting for her to notice. Kept watching her face for any flicker of realization, any hint that she'd discovered what I'd done. Nothing. Just more attempts at acting like the perfect wife. Then came day 3. I was in the kitchen when I heard it. This little gasp from the living room, like someone had punched her in the stomach. "No, no, no," she kept saying, getting louder each time. I walked in to find her staring at her laptop screen, face white as a sheet. She was clicking frantically through folders, checking her cloud storage, her email. Everywhere she might have saved it. "Mike," her voice shaking, do you have any copies of my book? You know, from when you were reviewing chapters for me?" For a split second, I felt bad. I did have copies of most chapters stored in my email. Then I remembered how many late nights I'd stayed at work to pay for that laptop she wrote on, and the guilt vanished. "No, sorry," I said, trying to sound concerned. "Let me check my computer, though." I made a show of looking through my files, even though I'd already deleted everything the night before. "Nothing here," I told her. "Did you check your backups?" She was starting to pull at her hair, something she only does when she's really stressed. Last time I saw her do that was when her dad was in the hospital. "It's gone," she whispered. "Everything's gone. 3 years of work. Just gone." Then she turned to me. "Did you delete it?" The accusation in her voice almost made me laugh, like she had any right to be angry with me after what she did. I put on my best offended face. "Are you serious? You think I'd do something that pathetic? That's more your style. You're the one who knows how to hurt people you claim to love." That last part felt good to say. She started crying then. Not the fake tears from when I caught her cheating, but real, ugly sobs. The kind that shake your whole body, just like the tears I'd been fighting back since I found her with Henderson. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I stood there, watching her fall apart. She lost 3 years of work, lost 6 years of trust. Fair trade, if you ask me. While Sarah was still having her meltdown over the manuscript, I decided it was time for the final act. I put on my best sudden realization face, told her I'd been kidding myself, thinking we could work things out. "This is too much," I said, watching her face crumble even more. "You destroyed everything we had. I can't just pretend that didn't happen." Perfect timing, really. Her precious book was gone, and now her last hope of saving our marriage was disappearing too. The wail she let out probably could have been heard through the whole building. Maybe even Henderson heard it from his apartment downstairs. Good. She collapsed onto the floor, this broken heap of a person who'd lost everything in the span of a few minutes. The sounds coming out of her weren't even crying anymore. More like the noise an animal makes when it's mortally wounded. I stood there, packing my bags while she sobbed, throwing whatever I could grab into duffel bags and boxes. Clothes, electronics, important documents. The wedding album stayed right where it was. She could burn it for all I cared. Just before I walked out, I couldn't resist twisting the knife one last time. "Sorry about your book," I said, trying to sound sincere. "But hey, it's all still in your head, right? You can always start over." The look she gave me. I think she knew right then that I deleted it. But what could she do? Accuse me of deleting her manuscript after she'd banged our landlord in our living room. I walked out of there feeling like I'd finally balanced the scales. Now I'm staying at this dingy extended stay motel while I look for a new place. It's not great. Weird stains on the carpet, neighbors who fight at 3 a.m., that kind of thing. But it's better than staying in that apartment. Lease is up in 4 months anyway. Let Sarah figure out how to pay for it. Maybe she can work out some special arrangement with Henderson. They seem pretty cozy already. I know she can't afford the place on her own with her copywriting job. Even with both our incomes, we were barely making rent some months. But that's not my problem anymore. Maybe she can move in with her new man. I'm sure his wife would love that. Or maybe she can start an OnlyFans. She's clearly got no problem with people seeing her naked anyway. Had my lawyer serve her with divorce papers yesterday. She can keep the apartment and all the furniture. It's all contaminated anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm making sure I get compensated properly in other ways. Sure, I don't have concrete proof of her cheating. Kind of hard to snap photos when you're in shock from finding your wife bent over your couch. But this isn't about proving infidelity. This is about making sure I come out of this with enough money to start over somewhere else. Lawyer says we can probably get a decent settlement, even without proof of the affair. Sarah's so desperate to keep this quiet, to maintain her good girl image, that she'll probably agree to whatever terms we put in front of her. Plus, I've got texts from her begging me to come back, admitting she made a mistake. Not exactly a smoking gun, but enough to show she did something wrong. Between that and the threat of me telling everyone we know exactly what happened, I think she'll be pretty motivated to settle quickly and generously. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just destroying someone's dreams. It's just walking away and letting them live with what they've done. Update 2. It's been about 6 months since my last update. Figured I should let you all know how things turned out with Sarah, my now officially ex-wife. The one who thought screwing our landlord while I was at work was a genius idea. Yeah. Divorce is finally done. Signed. sealed and delivered. Never thought I'd be divorced at 33, but here we are. Also, people were asking why I didn't talk more about Henderson in my previous posts. Answer is simple. Why should I? He wasn't the one who shattered my trust. Sarah was the person I was married to. He can jump off the Brooklyn Bridge for all I care now. On to what happened in the update. The settlement actually worked out pretty damn well for me. No alimony payments, thank God. Last thing I needed was to keep supporting her while she figures out her life. I gotta keep our car, which was probably worth more than the IKEA furniture she kept. My lawyer really came through. Turns out the threat of your reputation getting nuked is a pretty good motivator during divorce negotiations. Funny part came after the final hearing. We were standing outside the courthouse in downtown Manhattan, and I couldn't help myself. Had to ask. So, how's the book coming along? The look on her face. If looks could kill, I'd be 6 feet under. She just exploded right there on the courthouse steps. You deleted it. I know you deleted it, you bastard! She was practically screaming at this point, mascara running down her face just like the day I caught her cheating. She told me she tried starting over, tried rewriting it from memory, but it wasn't working. It's not the same, she kept saying. 3 years of work. Gone. I'll never get it back. Then she called me evil. Said I was a monster for destroying her dream. That's when I laughed. Couldn't help it, really. Guess that makes 2 of us, I told her. You destroyed our marriage. I destroyed your book. Karma's funny like that. She tried to argue that what I did was worse somehow. But I shut that down quick. Anything bad that happens to you from here on out is just the universe balancing the scales. Nothing to do with me. Best part? Found out through mutual friends that she couldn't afford to keep the apartment after all. Guess copywriting doesn't pay as well when you have to cover all the bills yourself. No idea where she's living now. Don't really care either. Maybe she moved in with Henderson. Maybe she's back at her parents' place in Jersey, writing her sad little stories. Not my problem anymore. It's crazy how different things turned out from what I'd planned. 6 months ago, I thought Sarah and I would grow old together. Thought we'd celebrate when her book got published, maybe start a family once we were more financially stable. I did everything right, supported her dreams, worked my ass off to provide for us, stayed faithful. But you can't control what other people do. You can't make someone stay loyal just because you are. But you know what? I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. My new place is smaller, but it's mine. Started going to the gym more. Reconnected with old friends. Even went on a few dates. Nothing serious yet. Trust issues are a bitch to get over. But I'm getting there. They say living well is the best revenge. But I think destroying someone's dreams and then living well is even better. Some people might think what I did was too harsh. But those people have probably never walked in on their spouse cheating with someone they knew. They've never had their entire world ripped apart in an afternoon. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. She took something irreplaceable from me, so I took something irreplaceable from her. Fair is fair. I know I'm going to be fine. Got a good job. And most importantly, I've got my self-respect back. Can't say the same for Sarah. Last I heard, she's still trying to rewrite that book. Good luck with that. Maybe she can write about how she screwed up her marriage and lost everything. At least that's one story she knows by heart.